All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Horsepower Racing League's race number 2 of the season here tonight at Pocono Raceway. 80 laps will be our scheduled race distance. Drivers right now on track putting down their qualifying laps to see where they're going to kick things off this evening. And right now, it looks like a smaller field here tonight. So unfortunately, a lot of drivers having some prior commitments, things like that. But still got a solid group of cars here. I think it was like 12, 13, 14, somewhere like that. So, however, 80 laps is our race distance tonight. And these drivers will have 6 sets of tires, including their starting set. So say from there they'll have 5 options or 5 times that they can change tires should they choose to. And it sounds like fuel mileage right around the 30 lap mark. So look to see most likely a 2-stop race here tonight. Question, of course, will be how do you want to split those pit stops up? Of course, caution versus staying green. And I say Pocono, an intriguing track on the pit strategies. Again, you can pit here under green without losing a lap. But there's always that risk reward of what kind of state your tires will be in if you try to go with that early pit strategy. So there's gonna be a lot of gamesmanship, a lot of strategies of what's gonna kind of be the way to go here tonight. However, what we do know is these guys are gonna be going for these hot laps here this evening. And saying after, I got to bring up how last week went over at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the inaugural race over there. I would say it was Larry Yingling getting the win in that inaugural race. Sebastian Marin, our pole sitter for that race over there. And so on the point standings coming into tonight's, Larry with a 4-point lead over Sebastian Marin. The 28 of Brian Johnson in 3rd. Ryan Kelly in 4th, and Vincent Sora are top 5 in the points. And so also for the way the race works, if there is a late yellow here at Pocono, they do have 3 attempts of a green-white checkered. So say if we get late race restarts, definitely keep an eye out for that as well. But right now it looks like, everybody's still trying to put down their hot laps at the moment. And also points format's a little different than what we've seen before with some of the other leagues here. Winner is 30 points, 2nd place gets 25. 3rd place 24, and then kind of just keep going down from there. And then pretty much anybody who finishes 26th or worse, which obviously won't be an issue here for tonight, but would just basically get 1 point each, and a pole sitter a bonus point for that pole sitter as well. So that is what we've got going on here tonight. And also you can see right there the ambient temperature 79 degrees. However, track temperature you see right there 112, so pretty warm here. So again, going to make these cars here a little sketchy, and of course with the horsepower they got under them, you're going to need all the grip you can. So did talk to a few drivers. They're pretty happy with the way the cars were feeling in practice, so we'll see if that comes into play or not tonight. But say right now these guys just finishing up these Q laps here with just about a little under a minute left here in qualifying. So I got a few drivers here that it looks like they're trying to save their laps for the absolute last moment here. And say so we have about 20 seconds left in qualifying. I say we'll see the 99 here. Levi Cox going to come around turn number 3 here. I believe Levi should make it to the start-finish line here before time expires. However, there's a few other drivers that are just a little bit further behind that I don't think their laps are going to count here. So the time is going to expire before they cross that start-finish line. And indeed, Levi does get his lap in there tonight. So a few drivers that started up front last week going to be starting a little further back here tonight. So we'll have to see if that comes into play or not this evening. So with that, we'll go ahead and pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. So on pole position is going to be that number 28 of Brian Johnson. Again, Brian was 3rd in points coming into tonight, so he's going to shorten that gap from 6 points to 5. And then next to him, Levi Cox. We just talked about him just getting his lap in there and able to get a great lap there, qualifying in 2nd. Then in 3rd, you got the 24 of Zach Hall. James Heater there in the 18 in 4th. Vincent Sora in 5th. And then Larry Yingling, last week's winner there, 6th. Then you got Brandon Colley, Tom Senchek, Andrew Pileshi, Chad Wilkes are top 10. And then Devin Brock, Sebastian Marin, 11th and 12th. And you see right there, Sebastian not getting a lap time in on this one, unfortunately. And then 13th, 14th, Chuck Sweeting and Dude Conrad will be our 14th starter. So pretty much the 12th, 13th, 14th did not put laps down there in qualifying. The top 11 did, however. So yeah, so right now it looks like early advantage for, at least on qualifying, is going to go to that 28 car. So we'll see what he can do with that premier qualifying position. Of course, trying to keep that track position here as well at Pocono. It's going to be fun to see. Usually Pocono is a very momentum-oriented track, but again, when you have cars like these with the momentum and the horsepower that they do, I think the draft could play a big role, and we'll have to look to see what kind of mile an hour that I feel like these guys are going to be sending it into turn number 1, possibly even over 200 miles an hour. So we'll pull up the timing and scoring and get that info as this race unfolds. So pace car is just about to get rolling here, and we'll get this race underway. So again, for those that maybe, for those maybe watching, or of course, if you're interested in maybe looking at doing some racing over here against Horsepower Racing League, so you can find them, obviously search for that league on the iRacing League section there, also on Discord with Horsepower Racing League and the website as well. So if you go to the bottom of the broadcast info, the website should be listed on there for you to be able to click and jump over there as well. So a lot of info there saying, again, I mean, I've known Larry for a good while here with some other leagues, and just a stand-up guy and does a really good job, and he's definitely put a lot of time and effort into getting this built out and trying to get it set up. So definitely enjoy what he's been able to do. Like I said last week, just a great start to the season for the league itself, and looking forward to see how the rest of the season goes here. Will be a 10-race season, so this will be race number 2 of 10 tonight. So yeah, so we got 8 more after this evening here. And say from time to time, we'll pull some drivers and try to get a word with them, get some insights, see what they think, how the race is going, and things of that nature too. Say obviously for the initial start, want to let the guys focus and kind of just get their game set, get their game face on, get everything set up here. However, like I said, it's going to be that number 28, Brian Johnson, Levi Cox on the front row, going to lead this thing to the green. As you see, the pace car is in, waiting for that green flag to fly for this initial start. And we are underway here, 80 laps tonight at Pocono, as the field heads down into turn number 1 for the first time. Levi Cox really working that middle lane down that through turns 1 and 2 there. Actually, turn 1, I should say. Apologies for the Pocono fans, aka Nick. But yeah, say a great turn 1 there for Levi Cox. He's going to come out of that turn with the lead here into the tunnel turn. And say right now holding pretty solid here. A little further back here, a little side-by-side action. Larry Yingling, Sebastian Marin. Sebastian making a big start on this first lap. He's already gained 4 spots from his qualifying position there. So moving himself into the top 10 just in this first opening lap here. Looking at trying to get 5 spots gained, but I'll say Larry's not going to make it very easy for that number 23 car. As you see right there, Levi Cox will lead lap number 1. And right now the field pretty singled out here as they head into turn number 1 for the first time at speed. As they Levi give himself a comfortable, about a 4/10 of a second margin right now over that 28 of Brian Johnson. Tom Senchak trying to look on the inside of Chad Wilkes, but just couldn't quite get it done. He's going to roll out of it just a little bit. And right behind them, though, Devin Brock, Chuck Sweeting side by side here. And it looks like Chuck's going to hang on to that position through that tunnel turn. Duke Conrad right behind them there in 14th. But right now, Levi's definitely liking what he's seeing. He's going to have about a half-second lead here as he comes through turn 3. You can see he takes a much wider line, but I feel like it's actually giving him a really good exit out of turn 3. And so we talked about see what kind of mile an hour these guys are running. Let's find out what that number is exactly. As you see, he's already up into the 190s here as he heads into turn number 1 and just touches 201 miles an hour without a draft there in the turn 1. Just to show again how fast these guys are able to send these cars into these turns. I said 800 plus horsepower. These cars definitely putting down a lot of speed through the straights here. As again, Levi still stretching out just a little bit. Saying Brian Johnson, he's got a little bit of breathing room behind him. The 24 of Zach Hall. But then from 3rd to about, looks like about the 9th position, Andrew Pleshy. I mean, these guys are just right on top of each other. So we'll hop on board here with Andrew Pleshy here as they go through the short chute here, heading back to turn number 3. You see everybody kind of fanning out through that turn. You've got a lot of options if you want to kind of keep it shallow, if you want to run it wide and try to build that momentum on exit. But what you do see is keep an eye on that tachometer on that number 81 machine here, because you're going to see these guys look like to be shifting possibly in all 3 turns. So we'll keep an eye on that here. As you can see, goes over 9,000 into turn number 1. And looks like, I think actually keeping it in 4th if I'm not mistaken. Or actually, no, I think he did bring it in 3rd. Yeah, you see right there, drops it down in gear. So yeah, down into 3rd gear there. And look at Larry Yingling in 67. He's kind of getting hung out here on the inside. That momentum on the top side is really shuffling these guys through. And yeah, you see again, so yeah, these guys shifting all 3 turns here as Larry's going to drop a couple spots here, drop him down to the 8th position there as Andrew's going to continue to try to keep that pressure on these guys. Oh, tight battle here just behind, right for the battle for the top 10 with Chad Wilkes, Tom Senchak. And right now, say Chad's got the advantage now because he's got the outside line, he's got the draft, he's got some cars behind him as well. So we'll see if he can get the boost he needs here. As you can see, there's the help he's got from Chuck Sweeting, but just not quite able to clear that 29 as they head back into 1. And yeah, it looks like these guys are going to hold station once more. And I think we'll see Chad might get the momentum off of 1. But Chuck fighting hard here. Just now, Chad has a nose inside. You see here comes that 75, using that momentum, using that draft into the tunnel turn. But you can see a 29 really sends it deep there into that tunnel turn. And Chad's clears, but it looks like Tom's going to hang on to that spot, though, behind. So these guys are going to continue to fight here just behind. Right now, though, top 2 breakaway, you see Levi with about a 6/10 of a second lead. Brian's got about another 7/10 or so to Zach Hall. So right now, these two kind of breaking away. I'm guessing definitely enjoying the little bit of a margin they have. Let's say, but like I said, from 3rd on back, these guys still staying pretty tight with one another here. I'll say Zach Hall right now, again, he's got a little bit of a buffer over the 18 of James Heater. But again, these guys are all within 1 to 2 to 3/10 of a second of one another from 3rd all the way back to 9th here. So one little bobble, you're probably going to lose at least a handful of spots here. Watching Brandon Call here, really running the top side here, trying to run that top side, get a good exit out of 3. You see right behind him, he's got that 23 Sebastian Marin, and looks like, again, pretty even so far in out of 3 there. So we'll see in the draft if it makes any difference on the speed here. And I say, you see already slowing it down there before I got a good look at it. But yeah, right now these guys are definitely sending it here, but just haven't, I say, it looks like it's really kind of evened out. These guys starting to kind of maybe start matching lap times as well. As say, looking at their laps, pretty much everybody in the 55-second bracket. Fastest last time by was the 24 of Zach Hall with a 55.60 compared to an 85 for the leader, a 71 for Brian Johnson. But yeah, pretty much everybody's in about that 55.6 to 8 range. So these guys all holding within about a 2/10 of a second range right here. And again, fuel mileage wise, 30 laps roughly will be the number that I think most of these guys will aim for. But again, we'll see some strategy on when you want to make those pit stops. Of course, there's always talk about maybe trying to split it evenly. So again, with the 2-stop window, that would put them probably around, what would that be? Probably 27, if I'm not mistaken, would be roughly splitting this race up evenly in thirds. You see the rear tires look like they're starting to get a little bit squirrely for these drivers now, as they're starting to wear a little bit more. And right now, it looks like the driver that's definitely, I think, taking care of his tires the best is still that 24 that we just mentioned of Zach Hall. But while we talked about him, though, we're still watching this battle here. This is for the 6th position. Right now, Brandon Colley has it. Sebastian Marin trying to take it. But again, Brandon just able to hold on, getting a good enough exit out of 1. So then just in front of them, you also see Vincent Sora putting a lot of pressure on James Heater here as well. So right now it's just 4th and 5th respectively. You can see right there just a little bit high there for that 18 car. It's going to allow the 15 to close up here. He's going to take a peek to the inside. Now we'll see who's got the brakes into turn 3. Pretty even through here. Now it's just who can get the throttle down and kind of keep that traction. I feel like the advantage is going to go to that 18, so you can really open up the wheel a little bit more. The 15's got to keep it bound up a little bit, kind of keeping it underneath. And indeed, that's exactly what's going to happen. So the 18 going to hang on to it. But here comes Sebastian. He gets a good run out of 3. He's going to send it into turn number 1. Let's see if he can complete this pass there. But so you can see it while they're battling, they're actually catching Vincent Sora there. And once again, a great exit out of turn number 1 for that 7 of Brandon Colley. And they might even open up to be able to make a move on that 15, but looks like everybody's going to hold serve right now. So these guys running some very impressive laps right now and just staying right on top of each other. However, all this fighting they're doing, it's let this top 3 just sneak away a little bit more. Like I said, Zach Hall is the one that seems to be on the charge right now looking at those lap times. You see right there, Zach's been able to kind of separate himself, especially those last 2 laps. You see over 0.2 of a second to James Heater behind him. And we'll look to see how he's been gaining on Brian Johnson these last few laps. And right there you can see about a 1/10 or more a second every lap. This last lap was pretty even between them. But right now, though, that 24 car has really been closing the gap, though, on that 28 here. A little further back, Devin Brock trying to keep pressure on that 17 of Chad Wilkes. Right now they are in 12th and 13th. You can see these 3 are in still a pretty tight battle as well, with Devin, Chad, and Chuck Sweeting. And Tom Senchak trying to sneak away a little bit, but then, like I said, it's Andrew Pleshy that's been able to sneak away from them. But looked like a small bobble out of 3 for Andrew, and it looks like it's kind of putting him at risk here of losing that pack in front of him. We're going to jump back up because here's once again Sebastian Marin. He's going to send it one more time here into turn number 1. And again, that 7 is just fighting him so hard there. And again, a great exit for that number 7 of Brandon Colley. It's still very even, though. You can see dead heat actually for good measure here through entering the tunnel turn. So now it's just kind of who's willing to go deeper on the entry. And again, these guys just right on top of each other. They just, a little bit of contact. Oh, the 7 in the wall, 23 around. Bounces off the inside wall. It's going to come across the track. You can see the drivers trying to avoid him. And we saw that battle. It's been going for a few laps there. So unfortunately, contact for both cars here. That's going to bring out the yellow with that 7 and the 23, unfortunately. And saying the 23 is, I think, the one that's definitely come out worse for the damage here. And it looks like may have already had to retire from this event due to the damage. But we'll go back and we'll take a look once again at that contact between the two of them. It's been a really good fight for these 2 drivers. And so you can see, I mean, they've been going side by side numerous laps here with one another. Just unfortunately, it just ends in contact for the 2. And yeah, it looks like unfortunately ending the evening for that 23 of Sebastian Marin. So again, we'll watch here. Actually, you got to go a little further forward, I should say. It went too far backwards there. Let's go a little bit further forward. Let's get a better look at it here. So again, here's these guys. They're side by side out of turn number 1. And so they head down the backstretch here, and this is kind of where they started pretty much just like, okay, it's gonna be that duel who can get through first. We saw it from a different angle, but we'll watch once again here, and just looks like Sebastian you can see both of them pretty much just on a 4-wheel drift through turn 2 there. But then unfortunately on the exit, Sebastian just drifted up just a little too much there. And saying they kind of meet in the middle. Honestly, it's one of those things where I'm sure both feel like the other got into one another. Where the seven's like, wait, the seven's gonna say the 23 came up to into him. The 23 is gonna say the seven kind of didn't go all the way up to the wall and give him enough room. And ultimately, they're both going for the same real estate, and unfortunately, just didn't go to plan for those guys. So, that being said, though, pit stops are opening, and yeah, it's going to be a busy pit road here. So, coming into pit road here at lap number 13, it looks like. So, it's going to be again. It looks like Dude Conrad, he's going to roll out here, just try to get a lap led. It looks like, but it's going to be Levi Cox leading him in here. Looks like 4 tires and fuel for everybody here, but it's going to be Brian Johnson that wins that race off of pit road. However, I believe Zach Hall here is going to gain a spot through that pit stop cycle. Trying to see who's the odd man out on this one. As I try to remember who was running in that top 2, top 3 there prior to the caution coming out. Yeah, I'm going through my list here. Oh, it's actually the 99 Levi Cox. He's dropped a bunch of spots with a 17-second pit stop. So basically 3 seconds slower for that 99 car drops him from the top 3 down to now about 7th position here. So unfortunately, just every little mistakes, unfortunately, along the way. Maybe some damage he had at some point. Maybe just trying to get that right side beat back out a little bit, possibly. So, but yeah, strategy-wise, looks like everybody's going to be pretty similar boat here, though. But yeah, it's going to be Brian Johnson, though, getting the lead. Well, net lead, I guess you could say, because I suspect we'll probably see the 8 drop onto pit road here. We'll keep an eye and we'll see if he makes that sharp left or not. And yeah, there he goes. So yeah, so it's going to hand it over back to that 28 and then the 24, who has really been on a roll here. So we do have one driver. It looks like Chuck Sweeting. He's going to come in here probably to top off, I would suspect, as we're on the 1 to go. And actually, Chad Wilkes as well. So because this restart's going to put us in an interesting point here in this one, because we're going to be restarting this race on lap number 16. So, so that's going to put us at about 64 to go. So if these guys can stretch it to maybe a 32 laps on fuel. Remember, we mentioned Larry was saying they could go about 30 on fuel earlier. If someone can maybe make 32 laps per tank, could potentially be a one-stopper to the end from here. So might see some drivers maybe try to save a little bit of fuel here under this yellow. Say, well, actually, let's go spy on a few drivers here. Let's see if anybody's doing some fuel savings here. We'll hop over to Larry. Looks like that car just is motor's running, but is definitely has the just pretty much was at idle there. I'll say Chuck Sweeting obviously having to catch the field here. So, and you see right there, you see the engine shutting off that 75. So I like what I'm seeing out of that 75 car. Again, pitted on the 1 to go, gets a little baby extra fuel here, and he's just coasting that thing, just going to try to save every ounce of fuel here. Alright, so we're going to get going here again as they come through 3. It's going to hand it over again. That front row is going to be the 28 and the 24. Brian Johnson, Zach Hall. Larry Yingling moving up into the 3rd position. James Heater in 4th. And then we mentioned Dude Conrad pitting the 2nd time around. He is caught back up to that field here, so we'll have still 13 drivers remaining. The 7 of Brandon Colley, 40, almost 50-second pit stop trying to get damage repairs to that car. You see the 8 actually rolling back on the pit road as we get back to green. As it's that 28 and the 24 that lead the field back underway here. And you can see a good start for that 28. He's going to get to the bottom, and look at that 24 trying to protect. Larry's going to try to peek his nose underneath. But looks like Zach's going to hang on to that 2nd spot entering turn number 1. Andrew Pleshy there pop out. Got a good run out of one. He's going to try to go underneath Tom Senchak here through the tunnel turn. I say these guys, again, new tires, so they'll probably feel pretty grippy. I say maybe a little bit, wait for those tire temps to build up a little bit, but I say, they're going to try to get everything they can while everybody's all tight on one another here. So I say Andrew trying to work over that 29 here. I say that 29 definitely fighting hard here, and right behind as well, Levi Cox trying to recover from that pit stop miscue. So again, he was in the top 3, fell back to about 5th or 6th position here. As he gets a good run out of 3, he's going to look low on Larry and just clears him. I think Larry maybe cut him a little bit of slack there. But that's going to allow Vincent Sora here to try to take a look underneath as well. As I was thinking, if you play nice with one driver, someone else is going to try to follow that opening through. And there goes Vincent Sora. He's going to jump to that top 5 there as Andrew and Tom continue to run side by side here. So again, just right on top of one another, just like we saw earlier here. Again, though, maybe we'll have to watch, see if maybe anybody trying to possibly save fuel during the stint here. See if they can make it on that potential one-stop strategy. Looks like Tom's just going to finally hold off Andrew Pleshy, but this has put Andrew now under attack from that 7 of Brandon Cawley. Dave Brandon, of course, trying to recover from that contact he had with that 23 car. And even with the damage, that 7's looking pretty solid here. Say that looks like the crew's done a good job of kind of beating the fenders back out. So I'm sure he's going to probably not have quite the top end as some of these other guys. However, that draft is always the great equalizer here at Pocono. So right now that 7 car working that top side. You can see it sends it deep in that tunnel turn there through turn 2. And it looks like we'll hold on to that spot. So now move Brandon up into 8th, which now puts Andrew once again now under attack from the 17 of Chad Wilkes here. So it looks like maybe the middle to outside line, that might be the place to be, because it seems like just even with the horsepower here, you want to try to get the get the momentum off the exit. So yeah, right now not what the 81 was looking for. We're going to go up front here because you got James Heater, Vincent Sora here going for the 4th spot right now. So James has it. Vincent's going to try to take it as a hit turn number 1. And look at that 18 running the 3rd groove there. But again, he can arc it down and gets a good exit off there tight with one another off of turn number 1. And once again, another side-by-side battle here as they head down into that tunnel turn. However, James going to play nice. He rolls out of it a little bit early, lets Vincent on by. So move Vincent now up into the 4th position. James back to 5th. And then Larry Yingling there sitting right behind them in that 6th spot. So again, field another, after about a lap or so, that kind of singles out a little bit. But I'll say again, you got a lot of drivers here just trying to find where they want to put their cars here. Again, you see the 7 working that top side a little loose off of 3. But it looks like getting a good run on the exit there, and you can see tags onto the draft there of Tom Senchak here. Just not enough to make a move, and this is probably where that maybe a little bit of damage could be hurting that top end even with that drafting help. So that's probably where he might kind of not have quite the equal speed that those guys in front of him have. So while we have a moment, let's run through the field here to go through our top 13 drivers, the top 12 on the lead lap. Unfortunately, the one of Dude Conrad had I think a long pit stop. I think with him pitting that 2nd time around was entering a closed pit, so unfortunately had to do a stop and hold. So right now the race leader, our pole sitter, is Brian Johnson. So he's been pretty much in control of this race from the get-go. However, Levi Cox, so he's trying to recover from that pit stop miscue because he was up front as well here early on. So he's trying to get back up to where he was, and he's done a great job. He's already back up to 2nd, so that 99's got a lot of speed here. In 3rd, actually right where he qualified as well, is that number 24 of Zach Hall. And then in 4th is that 15 we just mentioned, Vincent Sora. We saw him getting around James Heater for that for the top 4 position. And then, yeah, rounding out the top 5 is that 18 of James Heater as they currently run. I'll say those two pretty much swapping their starting positions there as they are. And then started 6th, currently 6th is Larry Yingling. And right behind him, the number 29 of Tom Senchak there. And then, again, recovering from that earlier contact pretty well, honestly, is that 8 of Brandon Colley. Say he's been able to gain a few spots on this restart and work, even with that damage, has worked his way up and right in the thick of things here as well. And then in 9th here is that 17 of Chad Wilkes. And behind Chad, we saw, unfortunately, Andrew Pleshy had a good restart, try to make a move on the inside, and then from there just kind of got freight trained. Everybody just kind of picked on him on the high side, so unfortunately it dropped Andrew back into 10th. And then remember, the driver that topped off on that one to go was also that 75 of Chuck Sweeting. And saying, looked like Chuck was definitely thinking fuel strategy here, so he may not be showing his full pace right now. Maybe just trying to use that draft to let it do the work for him and just see how far he can take this thing to the end on fuel. So and then behind him, he got the 27 of Devin Brock. But we're going to jump back up front, though, because we got a battle for the lead here. Brian Johnson, Levi Cox, they've been going back and forth a little bit this last lap. Through turn 3, the 99 had it for a moment. The 28 took it back. And once again, here comes that 99, going to send it into turn number 1. Try to take a look once again. But that outside momentum still holding pretty strong for that 28 car here, Brian Johnson. And unfortunately, again, with that pit penalty, in 13th is that number 8 of Jude Conrad. So right now is the only car lap down. So if there's yellow, he would be the one eligible to get that lucky dog position. So those are the 13 cars remaining in this race. Unfortunately, we had mentioned Sebastian Marin with that contact. He has retired from the event, which leaves us those remaining 13, 12 of which are still on the lead lap. Once again, you see Andrew Pleshy just not going to give up. He's going to try to keep working this bottom on the 17. Oh, gets a little loose out of one. That's, again, going to cost momentum here. And that's the opportunity that 75 of Chuck Sweeting was looking for, because he's going to roll the top here and try to take that draft and see if he can swing around that 81. And, yeah, it looks like Andrew's going to roll out of it just enough here to get back in line. So, unfortunately, like I said, just every time Andrew, he makes great moves, it just doesn't pan out for him because he's just not able to complete those passes. So, that's going to be a tough spot for that 81, knowing that he's had a couple attempts to make these passes and they just haven't been able to stick. But again, you can see right here the field again starting to kind of single out just a little bit. Pretty typical for a Pocono race. But I think right now the biggest pressure right here is these top two, though. Brian Johnson still just trying to hang on to that, because look at Levi just sends it into turn number 1. He is so good on the brakes, it looks like. And you can see right there was just trying to get to the outside, trying to prevent the 28 from being able to drive all the way to the top, to the wall there, open up the steering wheel like we talked about. So yeah, right now definitely that 99 showing a ton of speed here. It's been about 12 laps since the pit stop, so that's the next car that I'm going to be watching, is right behind these two, is that 24 of Zach Hall. It seems like he really picks things up towards that second, kind of the middle of the second half of the race here on the tires. So I'm going to watch that 24. I think he takes care of his stuff where he can really start to make some noise towards the second half of this fuel run. And again, I feel like the way these guys are racing, there's definitely no fuel savings going on for these top 3, top 5 or so. It's the question mark. I think really the one I really am going to be watching a lot, depending on how this race unfolds, is going to be that 75 Chuck Sweeting. But also there's a certain driver that may or may not be the founder of the league that loves to play some fuel strategy, and that would be that 67 of Larry Yingling. So we'll have to keep an eye on Larry as well, as we'll spy on some people here and there, especially entering turn number 1, turn number 3, see what they do. As it looks like dude's going to hit pit road here. Not a scheduled stop for that 8 car, unfortunately, but it's a possible retirement out of that number 8. But right now we're going to continue to watch this battle for the lead, because again, 99 this time he's going to try to go low through turns number 3. But saying it looks like getting pretty good traction on the exit. All right there. But again, that 28 still gets a good exit there. So let's listen into one of these drivers. Let's start off with Chuck Sweeting. We're going to listen and see if he's doing any fuel saving here. And nothing out of the ordinary there. But actually, as we saw just in front of them, though, Chad Wilkes getting around the 7 of Brandon Colley. However, Brandon's trying to fight back on the outside, and it looks like Chad's going to hang on to that spot, so move Chad up into 8th. As again, that battle up front still continues on, but while they battle, it's actually heating up behind them. Zach Call, Vincent Sora, those two staying tight to one another. Ooh, and a bobble for the 9-9. That brings the 24 right into the fight here. So now you've got a pretty solid 3-car battle here for that second position with Levi, Zach, and Vincent. We're going to continue our spying here. We're going to spy on Larry Yingling this time around. We're going to listen to that car as they head into turn number 1 and see if we hear any potential fuel savings out of that 67. I'll say it's always fun to see if these guys have anything, and nothing out of the ordinary there as well, so it looks like still pretty normal. If we knew these guys were, let's say, what you listen for is those cars to pretty much drop to idle if they're kind of clutching it entering the turns, but as I said, we got a good little battle right here with Brandon, Andrew, and Devin here. Say these guys all going right now just inside the top 10 here right now. It's Andrew that now has that top 10. I'm sorry, actually it's Chuck that has that spot. I apologize. I say Andrew trying to see if he can capitalize on that as well. But I'll say this is also where I think that 75, again, even with the fuel strategy, needs to try to stay in this draft because, again, that's going to help him just use less fuel here. Just use that draft to kind of tow him around and burn a little bit less fuel out of that 75 car. So you can only back down so much before you start losing too much time. Oh, a little bobble there off a number out of 3 there. I think that was Tom Senchak, if I'm not mistaken. Car looks to be okay, just probably scared it a little bit and himself, but let's say he still holds on to 6th, however, has dropped about second and a half now off of that top 5 pack. Yeah, and indeed, unfortunately, another retirement is that 8 of Duke Conrad, so that leaves now 12 drivers, all of which still on the lead lap. But right now, like I said, we've got about a 4-car breakaway, and then that 5th position of James Heater trying to stay tucked onto these guys as well, just a couple tenths back. But they have definitely separated themselves from 6th of Tom Senchak, and saying that's kind of turned into a second pack there. With him trying to stay away from Larry Yingling. You see Chad Wilkes is starting to close that gap on him. Chuck Sweeting's right there as well, so kind of broken up into a little bit of a 2-pack race here, and unfortunately I think that damage for that 7-car Brandon Colley just now with the tires kind of getting worn out a little bit, probably was fighting them a little harder than he meant to and wanted to try to stay with the pack, and unfortunately I think now that tire wear is starting to kind of come back and haunt him a little bit here as we just start lap number 30, which brings us down to 50 to go next time around. I'm going to talk about the fuel window here being in that 30 lap range, so I'll say the fuel window still, I'll say the magic number for these guys to make it to the end would be if they can get to lap number 50, 51. I think that's going to be the ideal goal for some of these drivers here. Others might have to consider splitting this thing in half. And also looking at lap times, the drop off, it's been about a second and a half so far from that pit stop at 13, now at 31. So it's not a big, to me at least, not a big drop. As you see there, Levi sends it into turn number 1, but you see drifts all the way up into the wall. Actually could cost him 2nd position here. As you can see, here comes that 24 of Zach Hall, and just not quite enough. You can see every time someone makes a move, it opens them up for attack there. As Zach tried to make a pass on Levi, it brought Vincent even closer as well. So I'll say these guys definitely are still fighting tooth and nail for every position. I'll say just behind them, you still got this battle here with Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes, and Chuck Sweeting right now. I'll say these 3, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And say Chuck's done a great job of keeping that pressure on these guys again. And these 2-0 was a big slide on the entry there for that 17 car. Able to grab it pretty quickly there, but yeah, definitely a pretty big slide on entry there for him. But yeah, recovers nicely here as these guys continue on as we start lap number 32 now. But again, though, looking at the lap times here, starting to even out a little bit. Last time by in the 56.80s for the top 3, 56.65 for Vincent Sora, getting 2 tenths on those guys. 56.69 for James Heater also, so again, also trying to keep the pressure on. And then right behind them, it's 56.80s to 56.90s, so pretty much the whole lead pack here. Again, right about a tenth and a half off of one another. Very, very competitive times right now with these guys. All these cars look like they're four-wheel drifting out of turn number 3 there. As now Zach Hawley mentioned, it's like he's the one that I was watching. I think he's got one of the better long-run drives here, as he's going to take a look entering turn number 1 on that 99 of Levi Cox. And again, Levi going to fight really hard here through turn 1. It's just going to be who can grab the momentum on the exit. And once again, these guys are going to stay side by side. You can see right there the slight momentum advantage to that 99 car. And it looks like it's going to be enough to clear the 24. 24 is going to have to tuck back into line here before they hit that tunnel turn. So right now the top 3 continue to stay in that same running order. Oh, a little bobble from the 99 through the tunnel turn. That's going to open the door once again for that 24 car. This time gets a great run here. I think the 99 had to roll out of it there. And you can see, yeah, the 24 is going to shut the door there. Rolls up just enough to slow down the 99's momentum. And you saw Vincent Sora try to peek into that mix as well. So now moves that call up into second. Levi back to third, and then Vincent right now still putting a ton of pressure on these guys here in fourth. You can see in the wheel movement, look right there, pushing the 99 actually down this front stretch here. And actually, yeah, a little bit, you can see right there, just through that turn 1 section, the 24 has actually opened the gap up on that 99 of Levi Cox. So, as I think Levi may have burned up his tires just a little more than he was hoping for. And so, again, the question mark for me is going to be if some of these drivers think if they can or cannot make it on fuel, maybe consider doing a bit of a short pit strategy, try to get the most out of your tires on 2 fuel runs. As big drift out of 3, for the 99 car. That's going to allow Vincent Sora here to take a peek down the front stretch here. And so you can see, again, right on par with him here as they enter turn number 1. We'll see if the 99 is going to roll out of it, and he is not. He's going to send it into turn number 1, try to hang on to that spot. Drifts up just a little bit, but right now I think that's enough to hang on to that spot. As you see right there, Vincent has to roll out of it just a tiny bit to grab back into that draft here. We got to go back up front because now Brian has got all the pressure back now from that 24 of Zach Hall. Like I said, he has got that long run speed. In the background, you see the 99 overdrove the tunnel turn here. That's going to be another opportunity for Vincent here. And saying here comes, I said we got a battle for first and a battle for third. Because here comes that 24. He's going to look into turn number 3. And right there gets the throttle down nicely. He is going to grab that spot. Here we go. Here's a strategy. It's going to be Brian Johnson. He's going to be the first to hit pit road. And right behind him, Levi Cox saw it. He's going to react immediately to it. So this tells you right here, these 2 drivers are definitely going for the 2-stop strategy to the end. They cannot make it on a 1-stopper. Now, the next lap around, we'll have to see, do Zach Hall and Vincent Sora react to this or not. And then just behind them, we've got a great 4-car battle here now with Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes, Chuck Sweeting's right there, and then Tom Sinchak right in front of them. So 4th through 7th. And saying again, I'm still wondering, can any of these guys maybe try to stretch it to make it a 1-stopper? The 28 and 99 Dave rolled out of pit road, so we're going to jump to the leaders here and see as they come through turn 3. Do they react to those top 2 that hit pit road? The answer is no for Zach Hall, yes for Vincent Sora. He's going to hit pit road here 1 lap later there. I'm going to say he's going to try to get a good in and out lap here to maybe see if he can jump that 28 or the 99. And so yeah, so the strategy is starting to open up here as I believe you have the 27 of Devin Brock. He is also hitting pit road, a little bit too much rear brake there. Not sure if he got down to pit road speed or not. That's going to be a tough one. Might be at risk of getting a pit road speeding penalty there. But yeah, so right now those drivers getting their pit service done, and then of course we're going to try to look to see what the lap times look like this next time around for the 28 and the 99, because that's I think this will be a telltale for what the right strategy is going to be. Is do you want to run this long or do you want to try to shorten this run up or not? So we'll keep an eye. Oh man, that 24 slides it into turn number 3, almost drifting it in there. And so it kind of looks like those tires are starting to give up a little bit, but he's going to continue to fight on here. As last time by, he ran a 57.18, which is a pretty solid pit stop or lap time. I'm sorry, as Tom Senchak, he hits pit road as well. This time around, a 57.31 as well as James Heater, a 57.31. Larry Yingling, a 57.28, so a little quicker. The cars we're waiting for are right here. They're the 28 of Brian Johnson, the 99 of Levi Cox, and the 15 of Vincent Sora. So they've all rolled out of pit road about a second and a half, 2 seconds apart of one another. Say the one I really want to see right now is what kind of a lap time this 28 puts down this time around. This will be his first up to speed lap, and it's a 55.19 for Brian, a 55.07 for Levi. So they are over 2 seconds quicker right now than that 24 of Zach Hall. So I'll say for Zach here, he looks like he's taking the lumps he can take. He's going to now hit pit road, and this will kind of start to cycle things around here. Now it's going to put James Heater in that number 18 to the lead. So I'll say the goal now for that number 24 car is to basically, he's going to have about 3 to 4 lap fresher tires than those that he's going to come out around. So that's going to be the question for Zach here, is basically, will those tires make enough difference in that over the course of the run to catch him back up to those guys? So again, Brian Johnson, Levi Cox, they pitted on the same lap. Vincent Sora pitted 2 laps later. Or sorry, 1 lap later, I apologize. And then now Zach Hall pitting. I think it's going to be about 3 to 4 laps later than the first 2. And saying he's just rolling out of pit road now, and the rest of those guys are already into turn number 1. So that's going to be a pretty decent margin to have to try to regroup. So we'll keep an eye on lap times and intervals here shortly. But right now it continues to be James Heater to lead the way here. And I'll say the question mark again is going to be fuel mileage. Can anybody pull the long run on here? As here comes Andrew Pleshy. He's going to hit pit road here coming to lap number 40. So next time by, are going to cross the halfway point of this one. So now with the pit stop cycle starting to kind of go on here, I want to hop on board. We're going to listen in here with Chuck Sweeting. I want to really see if there's any fuel savings going on. You can see right there, looks like to me no brakes there. I think just rolling out of the throttle there, entering the tunnel turn. But I want to see if there's any potential clutching going on in that number 75 car here as he enters turn 3. And again, nothing out of the ordinary that I'm seeing here. You can see he drops a gear down to 3rd as they come out of turn number 3. Got to work on that throttle. You see definitely still a little bit of traction loss on exit as they head back in the front stretch here as we just crossed the halfway point. Let's say we're going to listen once more here, entering turn number 1, and see if there's any strategy for these 2 up front. And no, I said definitely rolling out of it early here. Same thing goes, looks like, for Chad Wilkes. So say Larry's going to say, the problem for Larry though is the fact that he's leading these guys, so they're going to base their pace off of him right now. And say right now, looking at pit stop times and such, it looks like a long stop for Andrew Pileshi. Unfortunately, that's going to drop him a lap. And then also the 27 of Devin Brock had a long pit stop as well. So say longer pit stops for those guys that are going to drop them off the lead lap here. So still leading this though is the 18 of James Heater. However, that battle for second, third, and fourth, they are all still right on top of each other. However, lap time-wise, though, I think it's starting to really show. Say they're down into the 57 bracket right now, 57.6s for the top 4, roughly. And again, the guys that pitted are in the 55.7. So again, 2 seconds quicker right now. These guys are. And right now, Brian Johnson, he is the first of those that has made the pit stop. He's the furthest up. Say pitting at lap number 35 for he and Levi Cox. Vincent Sora right behind them, pitting at lap 36. So he's got 1 lap advantage on tires. And then just in the background there's Zach Hall pitting at 38. So he's got 3 laps fresher tires than those 2 in front of him. And then Tom Senchak pitting at 37 in that 29 car. So again, also a little bit fresher tires than the top 2. Although 1 lap older than the 24 of Zach Hall. So It's all to play for here. So, and this is again the timing of that yellow makes the things very intriguing, because there's a lot of strategies you can do. You can either opt to, like I said, try to split it in thirds here, like these guys that pitted, like the 28, the 99 and company did, or you can try to see if you can save the fuel and make it on a one stopper. So again, the pace advantage pretty significant again. Right now, 2 to 3 seconds quicker a lap, because this last time by the 18 ran a 58.1 compared to that 55.8 we had just talked about, and saying actually Brian's on his way to the line here. We'll see what he runs this time by, and it's going to be 55.86, so just 100th of a second off there. So yeah, these guys are definitely making some pretty solid lap times here, and I think what we can do, so I'm going to try to see if we can compare and look at the lap times for these drivers here. So let me look at the toys we have to play with here, see if I can find exactly where it is. So you can see the lap times between the leaders there. Again, you can see the 57.8 that last time around. So you can see Chad Wilkes is definitely closing on the leader. But then if we jump back to Brian Johnson here, you can see that in the 55.3s, 55.5, 55.7, 88. So I mean, these guys are running very, very equivalent lap times here. So, but the problem is, again, these guys going about 2 seconds a lap quicker. The question is going to be, though, which is going to be the way to go long term. Is it enough pace to be able to gain those spots back? But you see, though, actually Larry Yingling, he's dropped it back now behind these guys. And again, me knowing Larry, I said Larry loves strategy, so I say we're gonna spy in on Larry here a little bit, see what he's doing. And that's what I was looking for right there. You see that the RPMs dropped to 2,000. That's showing right here Larry is on the clutch, letting that car coast as long as he possibly can here to try to save fuel. So at this point, we know for certain that 67 car is definitely on the fuel mileage game. Again, he pitted at lap 13. Chuck Sweeting, Chad Wilkes, they pitted at the lap 14 on the 1 to go. So not a big difference, but possibly able to have a tiny bit more fuel in the tank. Maybe allows them to save a little less. But right now, these guys are getting a little feisty with each other here. And again, I think that magic number, though, if they can go about 5 more laps on fuel, I'm going to say they feel pretty solid making it to the end here in one stop. So here comes Chuck Sweeting and Chad Wilkes still fighting for that second position here. Just behind them, Brendan Call, he's had to finally pit. He's going to pit here at 46. So again, still outside the window to make it to the end, because we're at 35 to go here at the line. And I don't think he can run that far on fuel, unfortunately, on that car. But this fight here for that second spot continues to rage on here. But let's say I'm watching Larry Yingling, and he's really dropped his pace off here. So he's, I think, again, full commit to try to make it to the end. As right now, say we continue to have the top, it looks like top 4 yet to pit. As Chad Wilkes bobbles out of turn number 2 here. But surprisingly, I mean, we've seen James Heater. He's just been kind of up and doing his own thing. So he's just going for the long haul here. And again, stays out. So he's done a really good job. Actually, here comes Chad Wilkes. He's going to hit pit road now. And this is at 47, so 34 to go. I still think that's outside the window to make it to the end. So right now, I think these top 3 are still trying to make this number happen. So unfortunately, it looks like we have another retirement tonight. That's going to be the 81 of Andrew Pleshy. So I'm going to see if we can maybe harass Andrew here, get a little bit of a word with him while they continue to race on up front here. So let's see if he's here. Andrew Pleshy, you got a copy, sir. And it looks like, unfortunately, Andrew not here at the moment. We can maybe try back with him a little bit later. But right now, that 18 continues the lead here. But that pace looks like it's dropping a fair bit out of the 18 car. I think, yeah, here he comes. He's going to hit pit road. as is the 75 of Chuck Sweeting. This is coming to 33 to go here. But I'm suspecting we're going to see, yep, there goes Larry. He is going to, say, again, Larry doing Larry things, able to stretch it at least one more lap here. So here's what's going to be interesting, though. Again, Larry's trying to cut one pit stop out of this race. Right now, he's got about an 8-second lead over Brian Johnson. So say, again, Larry pitting at lap 13. We're at lap 48 right now. So I believe this should be enough. Again, this is also with some caution here. So I believe we'll see him hit pit road this time by, which will be with 32 to go. I'm saying that car looks like it's starting to, oh, is he sputtering? I think he is at the absolute edge of field. You see, clutching, entering 3. I think he has stretched this tank for the absolute maximum that he can do with that 67 car. So I think that's going to answer us right now. Yep, here comes Larry. He's going to hit pit road as well. And that will complete our cycle. But like I said, by the time he's hitting pit road now, here's Brian Johnson already going to come by and take the lead over here. Also need to mention that Chad Wilkes and James Heater, they are back out on track as well. And then also trying to find Chuck Sweeting. Yeah, he's also on track. Is saying actually they've all come out pretty much right together once again here. So Larry's able to stretch them on the fuel numbers by 1 lap. However, say he really, I think that last lap was a lot slower for Larry, unfortunately. So we'll have to see what that's going to do for him. Because, yeah, these guys are going to swing on by before Larry even has a chance to roll out of pit road here. So this is the question mark now is going to be kind of who can do what on fuel mileage. Because right now I'm going to say, obviously we know these guys up front here. Brian Johnson, Levi Cox, Vincent Sora. Say we've been watching those guys that hadn't pitted yet. Now we got to go back to these guys up front here. We know for certain they have to pit one more time. They pitted last at lap 35. We're going to come across here to start lap number 50 now. And then just behind them, the 24 Zach Hall. Oh, good battle here actually between that 99 and the 15 here. As Vincent Sora, he's going to complete the pass there through the front stretch and then take that spot into turn number 1 here. But say I want to start watching lap times for our top 4, our top 4 here. As last time by was a 56.64 for Brian Johnson, 56.44 for Vincent Sora. Again, Vincent has 1 lap fresher tires than those guys around him, and then a 56.47 for Zach Hall. Again, Zach pitted 3 laps after the 28 and the 99. So, and we also know that the 24 is usually pretty quick on the long run as well. So I'd like to see, I think that 24 at some point is going to kind of peek into this mix as well for this top 4. So very, very interesting here. We got a lot of possibilities in this one. For the drivers that are going to go 2 stops to the end, we've got pretty much a 4-car battle here with the 28, the 15, the 99, and the 24. And then we drop back to the drivers that are going to try to stretch it to make it to the end from here. You got the 18, the 17, the 75, and the 67. However, my concern about the 67 is he is 9 seconds off the back. So, if I'm these drivers like Chuck Sweeting, James Heater, if you feel like you're right on the edge of making it to the end and being able to get all the way there, you've got basically 9 seconds to play with over Larry Yingling. So, if I'm this 75 car right now, I'm just going absolute full fuel save. Steal the draft off the 17 car, steal the draft off that 18 car, and see if you can maybe pull this fuel mileage win here tonight. So let's pull up our pit stop info here and say, so here's the strategy that we've seen tonight. So again, that caution around lap number 13, you see everybody hit pit road there. Chad Wilkes and Chuck Sweeting, they pitted on the 1 to go as well. But then you see right here, those top 5 drivers pitting from the 35 to 38 range. And then the second group of drivers pitting around 46, 47, and then 48 for Larry Yingling. That's just off the back there on the list here. So yes, that's what we're seeing here. So if you base it off of that, those guys went about 22 laps or so. So based on that, I would suspect we'll see these guys once again here hit pit road in about 5 laps or so to split this run evenly. So I'd say wait till we see about maybe just under 25 to go or so before these guys are going to hit pit road for their final stop here. But actually, I see one already not showing up in the picture, and there he is right there, Levi Cox. He's going to go for the short pit strategy, wants to see if he can undercut these drivers and put those fresh tires onto the end. So pending a yellow, this will be the last stop for that 99 at Levi Cox. And this is going to be very interesting because you're going to see right here as he rolls onto pit road, there they go, those three that already pitted here that are going to try to stretch it to the end. And so that shows right here the margin that they're going to have over that 99 car, because he's still getting service here. They're just now going onto the left side tires. Now he drops down and away. And then, of course, the other question is, where is Larry Yingling in reaction, or in relation, I should say, I'm sorry, to that. And there he is. He's already through turn one. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. If you can make it to the end on fuel, I'm feeling pretty good if you're those guys like James Heater, Chad Wilkes, Chuck Sweeting, Larry Yingling, because you've got a pretty solid margin right now. I mean, James, Chad, and Chuck, they've got about, I believe, 18 seconds roughly on Levi Cox to be able to hold off that spot to the end. And their tires are not that much older, about looks like about 5-6 laps. So I'm really liking where these guys are if they can make it to the end. So the question mark will be, does anybody gamble towards the front of this pack? Maybe someone tries a 2 tires, fuel only, something like that, stop to try to make that difference happen. So it's all going to come down to strategy, who's got the right decision here at the end. On board there, he saw Vincent Sora loose out of turn number 3, trying to chase down that leader in that 28 of Brian Johnson. And then in the background, starting to slowly but surely try to creep in on these guys, is that number 24 of Zach Hall as well. I say last time by, actually, Zach ran an identical lap to the leader, Brian Johnson. Vincent Sora about 1/10 of a second quicker. But I say now, again, the pit stop cycles, things starting to cycle around a little bit, where James Heater, 56.03, was about almost a second quicker than our leaders there. So that's, again, just the ebb and flow and the timing of the pit stops. And again, the one I'm still going to be watching, and I think right now the driver I think that has the best chance to make it to the end and be able to grab the win here is this number 75 of Chuck Sweeting. I love the strategy. He's using that 17, I'm sorry, for all the draft he's worth right now. Putting zero pressure on him, just basically, like I said, just taking the draft and kind of getting what he can out of it here. Actually, as I said, here comes the 24 of Zach Hall. He's going to react to that number 99 of Levi Cox, so he's going to hit pit road here a few laps later. This should be his final scheduled stop as well. Our top 2, though, they continue to stay out, so it's all starting to kind of cycle back together. But like I said, I'm looking at that interval, the 99, the 67, 75 and company, and it's a pretty lengthy difference between them right now. Levi ran a 55.18, so he was over a second quicker than Larry Yingling. Again, he's still got 7 seconds to gain, so if he can keep that pace up, he'll easily get there in time. But at some point, those tires are going to start to even out a little bit. Yep, here comes Vincent Sora. He saw those pit stops. He's going to react now as well, which will now just leave Brian Johnson as one of the last of the leaders now to hit pit road for his final scheduled stop. So here comes Vincent. He's going to react. Actually, Tom Senchak coming in as well. So basically that leaves pretty much Brian Johnson as the last of those who we know for certain have to make the 2-stopper to the end. He's the last one who's going to make that pit stop. So this is kind of a risky spot here as well, though, for Brian, because you do not want to see a caution, because if you get an untimely yellow here, those guys are already pitted. They're going to roll out in front of you because they're just going to drive right on by. So say I feel like risk versus reward here, that 28 is going to have to pit sooner than later, because those guys are going to get that undercut, get those fresher laps of tires under him than his lap, because he was a 56.98. Or as we mentioned, Levi Cox was at 55.50, so a second and a half quicker. But he's going to stick with it here. He's going to continue to run some laps here in that 28 car. So we'll see how it's all going to cycle around. Behind them, there's that short pit stop. The undercut for Zach Hall got him right to the rear bumper of Vincent Sora. So this could be a battle possibly for that top 3, top 5, depending on the fuel mileage for those in front. Ooh, little bobble out of the tunnel turn for that 15. So it's yeah, I mean, we don't know. This is what's so much fun about these fuel mileage races. It's just the timing of the caution really put a potential question mark on which was the right decision. We've seen basically a split strategy. You've got the 15, the 24, the 99, and the 28. They said, you know what, we're going to split this into thirds, and we're going to run basically pit twice and run three sections pretty hard. And then everybody else from James Heater, Chad Wilkes, Chuck Sweeting, Larry Yingling, they decided, hey, I think we can make it on one stop, so we're gonna run as hard as we can, but to meet that fuel number. But again, though, right now it's all kind of up in the air. But right now, Brian Johnson continues to stay out, continues to lead these laps here. But just I worry about now, is he giving up too much time? Because again, this time by he was about just under 2 seconds slower than Levi Cox, a 57.25, a 55.58 for Levi, and then Zach Hall, it's a 55.57 for him. So the lap times, I feel like he's giving up a lot to hopefully be able to gain it back at the end. So we'll have to see what's going to be the right choice here for these leaders. Alright, well, before we get to these final stops, I guess let's run through the field once again. So right now our leader is our pole sitter in that 28 of Brian Johnson. So he's definitely by far led the most laps here tonight. Behind him, the 18 of James Heater. Again, James he pitted on 47. He has a chance to make it to the end. However, he's had no benefit of the draft. Behind him, the 17 of Chad Wilkes. Chad pitted at 46, so 1 lap before James Heater, Chuck Sweeting. And then in fourth is that number 75 of Chuck Sweeting, who pitted on that same lap as the 18. However, he has just been living off the draft of that 17 of Chad Wilkes pretty much since they got back up to speed. And then behind them by about almost 8 seconds is that 67 of Larry Yingling. Larry made it to 48, but he lost a lot of time doing so, and that's why he is over 7 seconds back of those 3 in front of him. But the question is, maybe that extra lap, is it enough for him to make it all the way to the end or not? And then we drop to those drivers who have made their final pit stop, including that 99 of Levi Cox. And he is working his way towards Larry. He's up to now only 4 seconds behind him. And then in 7th is that the 15 of Vincent Sora. I say Vincent pitting 4 laps later than Levi. Zach Hall tried to undercut that 15, but just wasn't quite able to get around him. So this is a good battle between these two on equal tires for 7th and 8th. And then Tom Senchak also made his final scheduled pit stop as well in that number 29 machine, who is sitting in 9th. And then actually, as we speak, on pit road is that number 27 of Devin Brock. And right now, actually, Devin, the last car still remaining in this one, because unfortunately, the 7 of Brandon Colley has retired. And it looks like, unfortunately, also a lengthy pit stop for this number 27 machine. So we'll likely put him at least a lap down. And as I say that, it looks like that 28 car, here he comes, Brian Johnson. He's going to make that final scheduled pit stop in that 28 machine. I don't think we'll see anything but 4 tires and fuel, but we'll see. We've seen crazier things happen before. So we'll watch. They say this is going to definitely come down to it here now with this final scheduled stop for that 28 machine. And there goes Devin rolling out of pit road now. And then here comes that 28. He's going to hit his pit stall, that number 1 pit stall. I say the driver's trying to make it to the end. They've already hit pit road here. So, or sorry, they've already passed him on track, I should say. I apologize. So the question mark is going to be where he comes out in relation to those that have already pitted. And you can see they are long gone. So his hoping now is he's going to have to hope that those tires propel him right back to him. Because again, he's going to have to try to catch these guys like Levi Cox, who's already out of turn number 1. Vincent Sora, Zach Hall just a little bit behind them, and then Brian now just heading through turn 1 here. So he's going to have a lot of work to do. It looks like he's going to be about 6 seconds roughly behind the 24 car, but he does going to have about 6+ lap fresher tires, about 9 lap freshers than Levi. Than Levi. So yeah, we're getting down to it. I say there's still lots of racing left to go as we're 18 to go with the 18 car leading this thing. But again, just the strategies are just, it's going to be so close for some of these drivers here. So I'll say we're going to basically got 18 laps to kind of see who's going to have the right call here at the end. So right now, as it continues to go, so still James Heater, like I said, leading the way about 2.7 seconds on Chad Wilkes, and Chad holding about that solid half a second over Chuck Sweeting. And so we'll hop on and listen. And again, Chuck not going full fuel save, but you don't see him dropping the clutch or anything like that, like we saw Larry doing earlier. So either that means Chuck's feeling pretty good about his numbers, or just doesn't want to risk losing too much time to that 17. I see Chad actually breaking the draft a little bit there in that number 17. But another opportunity for Chuck here is just behind him. We talked about the pit stop there for the 27 Devin Brock. That could be another driver to steal a little bit of draft off of once he gets to him, because again, Devin on much fresher tires are pitting at lap 59. And then we'll continue back to Larry Yingling. He's brought the gap down to under 7 seconds between himself and Chuck. But you see in the background right there is at some point he's going to either have to kind of just give in and let these guys behind him go, because they're going to be on full send mode right now. That number 99 of Levi Cox right now, again, he was the first to pit at 52 for his final stop of those 2 stoppers, and then drop back to the 15 of Vincent Sora, the 24 of Zach Hall. These two just haven't gotten away from each other since that pit stop there. And then the one that we'll have to really keep a close eye on, though, is that 29 of Brian Johnson, because again, these guys going through turn number 3 now. As they come out, he's pretty much just entering. So last time by, he was the fastest car on track by about 0.7 of a second over those guys in front of him. But again, at some point, those lap times will start to equalize a little bit. As this time by, he runs a 55.19 to a 55.99 for Vincent Sora. Actually a 56.45 for Levi Cox, so he's actually over a second quicker than that 99 car. So he's already brought the gap down to about 4 seconds. Again, he's still got 16 laps to make something happen here. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to say. It's really all to play for here, and there's no real set knowing of which is going to be the right decision. And I just have a little bit of nerves for this 18 of James Heater. He's been just kind of off in his zone from this whole run here. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I'm saying let's hop on board, let's listen in here and see if he's doing anything out of the ordinary. And not just rolling out of the throttle, getting down. Looks like right now leaving up there, he goes back to 3rd. So yeah, so nothing out of the ordinary out of that 18 car. So the question is he doing enough to maybe make it to the end? Because he did pit that same lap as that 75 of Chuck Sweeting. But like I mentioned, for Chuck, he has had the benefit of a lot of draft off of that 17 of Chad Wilkes. Gonna hop on board Zach Hall, because again, he's keeping Vincent just under a lot of pressure here. And while they're doing that, they're chasing down Levi, and while they're doing that, they're also chasing down Larry Yingling. So they're all kind of packing back up together. I say they split up, they pit different times, but then they just slowly but surely start to creep back in with one another. So it's all getting down to it, because we're just getting to about 4 more laps. We'll get to the 10 to go here at Pocono. And saying there's still so much potential of how this race could shake out with the remaining bit we have here. You see already these guys, they've gotten to Levi. So again, I mean, it worked for a little while, but the question is, again, for Levi, his goal is that maybe these tires will even out before they can really make a big chance to try to get after him. So say it's Levi here. He's going to be in a tough spot here, because he's going to want to stay aggressive, try to get around Larry. But he's also going to start playing a little bit of defense behind that, with that 15 and 24 right behind him. And you see right there, just starting to, again, creep slowly but surely into that picture, that 28 of Brian Johnson. So these guys are all starting to get packed up together, because we'll look out the back of Larry, and here they are. They have found each other. You see right here, Vincent Sora, he's going to try to take a look here in turn number 1. but will he have enough momentum? Because again, we've seen that outside line have so much speed, and again, that 99 just so good on the brakes entering turn number 1. He's going to continue to hang on to that spot here. Here goes Vincent again, gets a good run out of 1, but again rolls out of it. And now it's going to be actually Levi here is going to make a move on Larry entering the tunnel turn. But again, these guys very differing strategies, so I think for Larry, I don't know if you can fight it at this point. And it looks like indeed, yeah, he's just going to roll right on, let these guys roll on by and continue their fight here. And again, for Larry, could be a positive opportunity here where he can save some more fuel in the back of these guys. But the problem is they have roughly, looks like, what, about 7 lap fresher tires than that 67. So even with their draft, he may not be able to challenge them, unfortunately, here. And as you see, actually, look at these guys splitting up three wide here, as that 15 is just trying to get everything he can right now. He knows this is his opportunity because he can't fight these guys for too long, because in the background, like I said, lurking is that 28 of Brian Johnson. Right there, you saw him just poke him for just a split second. Oh, a little bit loose off of 1 for the 15. That's going to cost him some momentum. You can see they still hold side by side, though, as they're going to head into the tunnel turn once again. Levi's going to hang on spot, fighting so hard there off that tunnel turn, run that top side. You saw also Zach Hall had just an opportunity there for a split second to try to see if he could find a way around Vincent. Couldn't happen though, so they're going to continue to run as they are. But that battling has been perfect for this number 28 machine, because he is there. I say he sees Larry in his sights. He knows Larry's on older tires. He knows Larry's probably still having to do maybe a little bit of fuel savings. And again, he's also still got about 5-6 lap fresher tires on these guys up in front of him. So feeling probably pretty good about his chances right now. He's, I think, mostly now probably worried about some of those guys up front. Can they stretch that fuel numbers? Here he goes. He's going to peek his nose under Larry in the 67. You see Larry rolling out of it there, knows that there's no sense wasting both of their times there. So Larry's just trying to tuck in and see if he can keep up with this pack here, as he just in front. That 1599 battle continues. This time the 15 is going to win out there. Vincent Sora, he's going to grab that spot, move him up into 4th. And it's getting tight up front, though. So again, we talked about the strategies, fuel saving and not. I'll say right now, we drop back. They're about 5 seconds off the back of Chuck Sweeting here, and there they are right there. That's the difference right now for those that pitted, those that did not. And there's still 10 laps to make this happen. So the question, like I said, if this 18 of James Heater, if he can make it to the end, he is in a great position. I'll say, if he's close to it, I think for James, you roll back, you pick up this draft to Devin Brock, and you just save absolutely everything you can. So we're down to it. Say we're at 10 to go, 9 to go next time by. We'll be down into single digits. And at this point, it is anybody's race. We don't know what's going to be the right strategy to fuel the one-stop strategy, the two-stop strategy, and the timing of the pit stops. Which one's better? Oh, contact between the 24 and the 99 through the tunnel turn. That's going to slow them both down, allow Vincent to sneak away a little bit. It also is pinning Brian Johnson behind the both of them here entering 3. Great exit there for Brian. That's exactly what he needed, because he needed to clear that 99, because if they stayed side by side, that was going to allow the 24 to get away a little bit more. Now he's going to try to see if he can send it into turn number 1 around the 24 car. He's got his nose ahead, but again, the 24, he's going to have the momentum on the exit. It's not going to matter. The tire is going to be too strong. Brian Johnson's going to move himself up to 5th. Now he's got to set his sights on Vincent Sora here, because if the two-stop strategy, if that's the way to go, right now the 15 is the one that is in the catbird seat on that one, because they are closing once again here. Because Chuck Sweeting, he's down to about 3 seconds ahead. We'll look out the back and you can see them just starting to creep into the picture once again. And last time by, Vincent Sora was a second quicker than those guys behind him. So it's going to be all to play for here. We just don't know what the strategy, which one's going to be the winning strategy. As these guys drifting out of turn number 3 is right there. Still our leader, James Heater. Does he have enough fuel? He's got the margin, that he's got a good cushion. He's got about 5.5 seconds over Chad Wilkes, and looks like about 9 seconds over Vincent Sora, but just we don't know what the fuel numbers are looking like for that 18 car. go. 15 hits the wall through the tunnel turn. That's going to put him under attack from a 28. And unfortunately, I think that's going to be probably all but just about done there with the loss of momentum through that turn 2 section. And yet there he goes, Brian Johnson going to get around Vincent Sora. However, you can see Vincent, he's not going to lay it low here. He's going to stay after it for this battle. He gets a great exit out 3. He's actually going to push him into turn number 1. We'll see he makes a late lunge to try to duck back underneath, but right now looks like staying in the tire tracks. As yeah, there goes Brian. He's going to send it deep into 1 to try to avoid any potential fight there from that 15. But just unfortunately, just one small mistake, exactly what that 28 was looking for Brian Johnson. So he's still sitting third. Chuck Sweeting still continuing to stick with his strategy. I say the lap times, they are starting to even out a little bit. I say it's still, though, about a second quicker, though, for Brian Johnson of 56.53 to Chuck's 57.70. So it was over still a second quicker, and he's got about a second margin still to play with. However, we're getting down to it. We're at 6 to go. And again, long laps here at Pocono. It's over 2.5 miles long here. So I'll say lap time's very long, say 57 roughly second lap time, so just about a minute per lap here. So the question though is also, if you're the 75, maybe hoping that 28's maybe burned his tires up a little bit more than usual, trying to get through the traffic and get back up to it. But even with that, he's still got 14 lap fresher tires than you do. So yeah, you have to wonder at some point, can the 75 turn the wick up and get after it here? But right now you can see that pressure is just getting a little closer, saying up front there. The 18 James Heater, he just crossed the line for 5 to go here at Pocono, as Brian Johnson continues to creep into the mix here and just trying to see if he can work his way up into that top 3 here. You can see just off the corner there's that 75 there. They run side by side here through the tunnel, or into the tunnel. Looks like the 75 is going to roll out of it, give the spot to that 28 for the moment. Tries to cross him over, can't do it, so give that spot to Brian Johnson, move him up into 3rd. Again, though, I think for Chuck here, I think he's still got a good shot at this one. It's just, again, you don't know how it's all going to shake out, but right now, Chad Wilkes, now he's going to have to try to play a little bit of defense, but I think those tires are just too good right now for that number 28 car, as he's going to duck to the inside here as they go side by side through the front stretch. 4 to go here. And again, watching lap times, James Heater still stays out. It's about a 6-second margin now over that 28 here. And I mean, that's 6 seconds with 4 to go. If the 18 has the fuel to make it to the end, this could be a very interesting prospect, because you can see that's the margin right there, how much space he has, as he's actually fallen behind now that number 27. We mentioned that of Devin Brock. Just the question is, yeah, what does he have left in that tank? Here goes Vincent Sora trying to work over Chuck Sweeting. This would be for the 4th position. And right behind them, there's the 24 of Zach Hall. And there goes Vincent. He's going to grab that 4th spot, which will then set his sights next on the 17 of Chad Wilkes. But again, Chad had to pit 1 lap before some of those guys, so we don't know for certain if the 17 can make it to the end or not yet either. Let's say, but up front though, down to 3 to go here for that 18 of James Heater. Saying again, last time by, it's about now 5 seconds between the 2 of them. So basically for Johnson here in the 28 car, he's going to have to gain over a second a lap. And last time by was a 56.95 to a 57.62, so not quite there. 28 is going to have to be a little faster here to try to have a chance if that 18 has enough fuel to make it to the end. Vincent going to try to get low on Chadwick, see if he can grab that third position. 2 to go. Can't quite do it. Has to regroup. He's going to try once again here and try to get that draft. Maybe send it into turn number 1 down the front stretch here. You see he's got the draft, but just right now it's still pretty even. Again, he's got fresher tires, but you can see this thing is getting loose. I'm having to correct it a little bit on the entry. So it's still yet to be said and done with these guys. He's going to try to stick his nose underneath out of 1. Can't quite get the throttle down to do so. Chad Wilkes going to continue to hang on to as we're down to 2 to go here. About now a lap and a half for James Heater. The last time by was again about 0.7 of a second slower, but that's enough. It's like he can still, like I said, he can play with the numbers here. He could give up 3 seconds if he wanted to on this last lap to still be able to win this race. So for James Heater, he's just got to make sure he's got the fuel to the end here. So he's going to grab third gear here, go back to fourth, as he is going to take the white flag. In that 18 car has just kind of been off on his own here. We'll see, does he have the fuel? Oh, you see back there, though, Vincent Sora. Chad Wilkes continue the battle. Vincent grabs the spot here, puts himself into third. Chad Wilkes, so I say again, Chad pitted earlier, and he's still in this as well, so feeling pretty good probably if you're that 18 car as they continue to battle here into turn 1. So we got a 4-car battle here for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth right there. Actually, I'm through third through sixth here. But up front though, say right now everything's looking pretty solid. So we're gonna look and listen. Is that car sputtering at all? Because that's gonna be the concern. I think it's sputtering here in the 18. I can't tell for sure. I think he is on the absolute ragged edge of fuel in this 18 car. That's going to be enough. He's got the fuel to make it to the end. James Heater going to win the race here at Pocono at the Horsepower Racing League. Brian Johnson, he's going to grab second. Oh, great battle here at the back there for third for about fifth there. I'm sorry, with Chad Wilkes, Chuck Sweeting, and Zach Hall. So we'll go back and we'll look at that battle to start finish line. But what a finish there. It was so close there. 2 stops versus the 1 stop after that caution. James Heater able to make the 1-stopper work. Brian Johnson jumps all the way up to second, as is Vincent Sora with their 2-stop strategy. Chuck Sweeting, Chad Wilkes, they went with the 1-stopper, finishing 4th and 5th. So it was just a big mix of which one was the right way to go. But let's go back here. Let's watch this battle at the checkered here, because they were all going after it here out of turn number 4 here. So we'll pick up the speed here as they come through as they're coming through here to get to that final corner. You see the 75 able to get around the 17 as they come through that tunnel turn. So that moved the 75 up into the 4th position there. And then from there, these guys are going back after it. So say there's the 24 there of Zach Hall trying to see if he can spoil the party here as well. As they come out of 4, you see a great run for the 24. They all start to kind of jump around to find the momentum. And yeah, that's where they're able to hang on to it. But so we'll jump back live because we got to jump over to that 18 car of James Heater. Say, see, did he have enough fuel here to do any celebration? And if he did, it wasn't much. I think he just parked it up by the wall here to celebrate, because I think that thing has as much fuel as it had to get to the end, and probably not a lot more. But what a job. Able to keep the speed up and keep the momentum up. And he's going to get the win here tonight at Pocono. So what we're going to do, though, is we got to chat with some drivers. We're going to kick things off with our 3rd place finisher, and that is going to be the 15 of Vincent Sora. So let's drag Vincent in over here. And so Vincent qualified 5th, finishes in 3rd. I say, how torn were you there? So, I mean, we talked at the fuel mileage pre-race, so it sounded like it was about that 30 lap or so mark. But, I mean, these guys are pretty sneaky on what kind of mileage they can make. But was it just maybe the fall off? You decided the 2-stopper was the way to go, or is just kind of try to stick with that track position and just go after it that way? I mean, how hard was it for you to decide what was the right way to go here?
It was really hard. Track position, means everything here, because we couldn't make any passes. It seemed like it was really hard to complete a pass, especially when we're on equal tires. It was next to impossible. I honestly didn't know the fuel situation. I was kind of shocked that those guys made it there at the end, that only went with the 1-stopper. But yeah, I just wanted to pit because the fall off was really bad, and I wanted to be able to jump, Brian and Zach and Levi who were in front of me, and I just needed to tire at the end.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. I mean, it was about, I think, at one point over a 2 second difference on the old tires versus the new tires. I mean, I felt like it was definitely going to be the right call, especially because it looked like it was going to be kind of touch and go who might be able to make it or not. But then, so then final stop there though, say it was really jumbled up. I'll say you pitted around 56. You had some other guys like I said, you reacted, it looked like, to Zach in the 24 pitting right after he did. I say you had a pretty good battle with him right away there after he came out. And then you saw Brian Johnson waiting to 61 to pit. Was there any concern with maybe pitting too soon or too late? I mean, how are you basing? I was it just kind of in response reaction to the other guys around you, or did you kind of have like, I'm gonna split this thing in thirds and like that's my goal?
Yeah, I was pretty fast there at the end of that second run compared to Brian and Levi. I got around Levi, and I was kind of breaking even with Brian, and I didn't want to be the first one to pit. And Levi pit and Zach pit, and I knew I wanted to pit kind of close to them, and hopefully leave Brian out on the track. I just didn't expect Brian to be able to make that gap up there at the end, but yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a wild one with the strategies and not knowing what was going to be the right way to go, and like I said, it was surprising. It was a lot harder to pass than maybe expected. You kind of figure it's like, oh yeah, they got all the power, they'll be able to make moves and all that, but just looked like you guys are just so evenly matched here tonight. So yeah, it definitely made, like I said, track position for the premium. So that being said, though, I mean, you did a really good job of being in the thick of it tonight. To, like I said, getting in contention to get the win. Just I'll say just a few things not going perfectly to do so. These guys say that they make it look so easy. I know it's anything but yeah, just awesome job tonight, Vincent. Definitely want to give you the floor here. Any thanks and shots I'd like to give for that podium tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I want to give a shout out first and foremost to all my Category 5 esports teammates. They do a great job, and they help me out a lot. So shout out to them. I want to give a shout out to one of my sponsors, McConey Setup Shop, and I want to give a shout out to Larry for running this awesome league, and you for broadcasting.
All right, man. Great job tonight, Vincent. I say it wasn't exactly what you're hoping for at the end, but I mean, it's still a really exciting race, and I say just strategy was right on the number there. Just I say just didn't quite pan out tonight, but looking forward to seeing what you got for the rest of the season, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Have a good one.
All right, that is our third place finisher in the number 15 of Vincent Sora. So we'll jump over now to that 28 Monster Energy machine of Brian Johnson. And Brian, I mean, you were just on a roll all night long tonight. I say, obviously, the initial start, Levi was able to grab the lead and kind of sneak away a little bit, but from then on, I mean, you really had good control of this race, and it was just like I was asking Vincent about, just the strategy was so up in the air. As to, I knew someone was going to try it to do the one stopper. I didn't expect about 4 of them to try it though. Did you have any thoughts about it, or did you just feel like you just had too good of a pace with that car to try to just back it down and go fuel mileage?
Well, that's kind of exactly it. Is that I was kind of banking on pace to kind of beat the strategy, but kind of, got bit by the strategy tonight. But it is what it is. It's kind of, that's what you expect at Pocono. Pocono, it's kind of always been one of my better tracks, especially in these old high horsepower cars. So I was banking on pace, and that last pit stop, thinking about when to pit, I was kind of set on somewhere around 60, 62, and noticed Levi pit, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's way too early. I can get him, and then I saw Zach and Vincent pit a couple laps later, and I was like, well, I can, I might be able to catch him, hopefully. Um, and then I knew Larry was on the single stop strategy, but I didn't think he was going to be fast enough to where he would stay ahead. And I get around all those guys, and there's a couple more guys ahead of me, and I'm like, okay. And then James Heater is like way off in the distance. I'm like, how the heck is he going to make it? There's no way that he has kept this pace and is going to be able to have enough fuel for the end. But sure enough, he must have an eco button in there, or got shut off a couple cylinders there for a few laps. But kudos to him, because that's a great job.
Yeah, and I was in the same boat. Like I was full focus on, yeah, like Larry. Once I saw Larry go that one extra lap, I was like, all right, I know Larry's doing. I was like, he's got this. He'll definitely make it to the end. And then I had some question marks, because you're right, because James Heater, he pitted one lap before, along with Chuck Sweeting, and then 2 laps prior was actually the 17 of Chad Wilkes. And once I saw Chad kind of living, like like the 17's sticking with it too. Is like, this could get interesting, and that was exactly it. I was so focused on some of those other guys. James kind of just snuck away and kind of just like, yeah, don't worry about me, guys. You focus on those other drivers, and I'll just kind of do my thing there. But it was very, very impressive and pretty wild to see all the different strategies. And I was wondering as well, when you mentioned your final pit stop waiting to about that 60-62 range, I kind of had wonders like, is he waiting too long? But then I mean, those lap times though, you were just flying through there. And then a few times a couple of those drivers started battling with one another, slowed their pace down a little bit, and it just seemed like it looked like everything was looking real good until that James fella decided to kind of spoil the show there at the end.
Yeah, I had some concerns about if I was pitting too late as well, but I knew I would have to go out there and just kind of give it all she had. And the right front definitely was not happy with me when the checkered flag came out. So you know, yeah, knew I had to push real hard, and got got the job done except for one position. So I guess still a good night. Second's pretty good, and with Larry finishing eighth, that's good in the points. So come out of here with a good points night.
Yeah, it's a really solid point. So like you said, plus getting the pole as well, so an extra bonus point there as well. So as a whole, yeah, really, really good job, man. I mean, like I said, the pace was there. It's like just one guy able to kind of pull the strategy, and like you said, it's kind of a Pocono thing. You'll see that a lot. There's just this track finds a way to make it happen, but. Just hats off to you. I mean, to get that runner up tonight, it was definitely a well earned finish, and especially with just the one caution, I'm sure you guys are probably good to see this thing finish up at the end, because it was definitely probably a rough one to run for that long straight as well. But again, just kind of shows what the group we have over here early on is. It's pretty solid. So before we let you go though, Brian, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that runner up tonight.
Yeah, just got to thank you for broadcasting the race and anybody that tuned in. We all definitely appreciate it as drivers, and shout out to all the drivers in this league. Like you said, great group of guys over here, fun to race with. Got to give a shout out to all my Category 5 teammates, and a special one to Vincent Sora. We picked him up probably almost a year ago over at Category 5, and he's improved a lot, and it's fun to see him ahead of me and with the pace he has. So a little special shout out for him. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's always a good time when you got the teammates and you guys are battling for those podium spots. So I'll say it's a good problem to have sometimes, but yes, I'm sure there's other times like, man, why do we pick this guy up? But no, great job though, Brian. Yeah, definitely look forward to see what you and your teammates have for the rest of the season, man. Congrats again.
All right, thanks, sir.
All right, that leaves one left to chat with, and that is going to be our race winner in that number 18. And so that is going to be James Heater here. So let's go ahead and pull James on in. And I'm going to say, James, I feel a little guilty because, man, I was so focused on, like, Chuck Sweeting. It says, like, all right, he's following Chad Wilkes. He's drafting him. He's going to have the fuel to make it. Larry Yingling, he went one lap further. Okay, he's going to be good to go to the end. And then you just you were ahead of all those guys. You ran the fuel mileage, and even on your own, you made the fuel number. I mean, what I mean, I know you don't give out the trade secrets and everything, but I mean, how committed were you? Was that pretty much from that restart on that you're like, okay, this is my strategy, I'm sticking with it, or did you have to kind of make some adjustments over the course of those final two runs?
Oh no! As soon as that caution came out, I had planned on trying to make the one stop. I knew I didn't have the pace to compete with the fast guys up there, so I started trying to save fuel as soon as I could. Into that first run, I was clutching it a lot, trying to save as much as I could. I stretched it another lap, and then that second run just took it really easy on entry center and just let it coast through.
Yeah, you did it to perfection, man. Because like I said, I was every so often I would peek in, I'd try to spy on some people, on you and Larry and Chuck, and saying, and just I don't know what it was, but I think it was just because of the gap you had on those guys. Like, nah, he's running too fast of a lap time. He's got too big of a margin. He's gonna have to pit. But at the same time, as you start getting to those closing laps, like he's still going, and I did feel like I'm not sure. I'd say maybe it may have been something that I was just pretending to see, but it felt like in the last lap, I felt like I did see a little sputter out of that thing, maybe out of the tunnel turn. Were you still good to go on fuel, or was it starting to get really tight on that final lap there?
The final lap, I was good. I was just taking it really easy because you know, when you get down that last little tenth or two of the gallon, you can start to sputter. So I was wanting to make sure I didn't have that issue. But yeah, I was good that lap, and then I ran out on the cooldown lap coming off of one.
Yes, I mean,
I was keeping a real good close eye on that fuel the whole run there.
Yeah, so yeah, to be able to start sputtering out of one, I mean, I'm gonna say that's fuel mileage to perfection, man. So, I mean, just a hell of a job to kind of manage that. And that's the thing, is that I don't think everybody realizes it's not one of the things you can just like turn on, turn off. Like, okay, I'm gonna save fuel now. Like you said, it was exactly like you said. You had to commit to it from that yellow. Say, okay, I know it's gonna be tight, but I know I can do it if I commit to it from lap number 13 or whatever it wound up being on that restart. And I mean, you did it to perfection. I mean, you saw those guys with the two stoppers, they get all the way up to second, but you were able to still hold them off by a couple of seconds there at the end. So I mean, you even had a little bit of margin to play with. So I mean, just a hats off to you to nail the strategy, hit it to perfection, and still make the lap times you needed to hold those guys off. It was, I'll say, that's definitely an art to do. Say not a lot of people can run those laps while still saving fuel. So just hats off, man. And I say definitely enjoy this one. But before we let you go and celebrate, definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that win here tonight.
I just want to thank you for the awesome broadcast. Everyone who kind of watches it. Larry for running this league, and everyone out there put on some great races. These first two races.
Yeah, it's been a really good start to the season, I'd say. So 2 down, obviously, still lots of racing to go, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see. So yeah, just enjoy this one, James, though, and look forward to seeing what you got for these guys the rest of the season.
All right, thank you.
All right, that is our race winner in that number 18 of James Heater. Like I said, worked the fuel mileage to absolute perfection here tonight. But just, I mean, I don't know how you can run those numbers. Like I said, he ran out of fuel or started sputtering into turn 1 after the checker flag. I mean, that's he knew exactly what he had on the numbers, and he did it to perfection. So hats off to him. And honestly, I mean, just hats off to everybody tonight. What a race. These guys won caution tonight with a lot of hard racing. And so we'll pull up our results here tonight. You see there James Heater getting that win by about a little over 3 seconds over the Category 5 esports teammates of Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora. So obviously those two are going to be ones to keep an eye on over the course of the season as well. And the one that I was watching all night long, Chuck Sweeting, I thought for sure he was in the catbird seat, but the pace was just too great at the end. And Chad Wilkes, I didn't think he stood a chance to make it to the end, but he did absolute amazing fuel saving on that final run to make it to the end as well, and still grab a top 5 as well. And you see right there, Zach Hall in the 24 just didn't quite have what he needed to crack the top 5 as well. But we saw the pace that 24 had on those long runs as well. And then Levi Cox went for the short strategy, didn't quite pan out for him in that 99. And then Larry Yinglings probably gave up too much, unfortunately, on that, trying to save that one extra lap under that green flag condition. So that drops him down to 8th. And then Tom Sanchak rounding out our lead lap finishers there in 9th. And then 27, Devin Brock in 10th, 1 down. And unfortunately, these guys, multiple laps down, not the nice they were looking for, with Brandon Colley, Andrew Pleshy, Dude Conrad, and Sebastian Marin rounding out our results here tonight. So that will do it for us here tonight at Green White Checker TV. Again, really want to thank everybody that watches, supports us. I saw you pop in here at the end, Matt. Always good to see you, man. Looking forward to Sunday with you as well to get that season opener started over there. But yeah, what a job though. I mean, again, just hats off to that 18 though. Just what he was able to do is beyond impressive. So he's definitely going to enjoy this one. And I'll say some of the other guys, they're probably going to wonder what could have been if they had the strategy maybe just a little bit different, but what a race. I was saying that you always love to see the strategy ones. You never know how they're going to pan out, but tonight's going to be James Heater getting that win tonight over Brian Johnson and Vincent Sora. So hope you all enjoyed it. We will be back again next week with the race number 3 over here with Horsepower Racing League. So again, if you're interested, definitely take a look for them. I'll say it's a fun little league here. Larry's done a great job with it, and looking forward to seeing. Hopefully he can continue that car count up, and we'll keep going after it. So thank you all for watching, for supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. It means a ton. So we will see you all next week. So until then, have a good night, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.